Alright, hello, my name is Silverkyle, and today I'm going to be going over my August 2019 pickups. Not as crazy as the month of July was, but still enough to warrant a video, and I just enjoy doing these videos as well. So, this month though, there's no video games. There wasn't really anything that day one I wanted, and I'm still busy enough with Ultimate Alliance 3 and Fire Emblem as well. But I will have at least 3 video games in the month of September. Potentially 4, depending on if I get enticed enough for one of them. So we'll see how that goes, but September should be good. Alright, let's start off with the... another thing, this is pretty much all Comic Book Central stuff. The only thing that isn't is this one Blu-ray right here. After that, it's all comic book related. So the only non-comic book related one would be the Blu-ray of All the President's Men with Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman. I have not seen this movie yet, but I've heard so many good things, and it also sounds exactly like the type of movie that I would enjoy, based off the true stories of the Watergate things that was happening with President Nixon at the time in the States. Really want to delve into this. I cannot wait. I think I was looking up for movies that are similar to Zodiac 2007 with Jake Gyllenhaal, which is my favorite movie of all time, and this was one of the movies that they suggested, so I decided to pick it up. Next up is... Captain America: The First Avenger 4K. I got this because it was like $25, which is surprisingly that's a cheap price for a 4K in Canada. So I got it, and I also didn't have this one, but I have to say that this is probably one of the weakest, if not the weakest, since the last time I've only seen this movie once, but I did not enjoy it. I loved Chris Evans, and every movie since then that has had Captain America I've absolutely loved. All my favorite movies would probably be any movie that has Captain America after this. All the other Captain America movies, the Avengers movies, love them. And I still really liked Chris Evans in this as Captain America. I just thought the story was very boring. It could be because of the 40s setting. I don't know. But yeah, I want to give it another chance. We'll see how it goes. And I do want all the MCU movies, regardless of if I really enjoyed them or they were kind of just meh, which this one was last time I had seen it. On the other end of the spectrum for the MCU, this movie I absolutely loved. This is Avengers Endgame. It's amazing. When I first got this, I watched Infinity War and then Endgame back to back, and it was just, it feels like such a good completion to a saga. Like those movies together, it's essentially one big movie, and I still love it, but it won't compare to the first night that I saw this on opening night with the right crowd that just cheered at everything. There's so many scenes in here with Captain America, really, that are just so cheer-worthy. And the crowd just lit up like mad. There's specifically when they're having the battle with the original Avengers versus Thanos, that something happens halfway through that battle that's amazing. Then, as the trio is pretty much ending their battle, it's just one person left, and then something happens then too, and everybody's freaking out. So many moments, and I also have to say that Captain America, this movie to me was really strongly about Captain America. I think he was the standout here. Nebula is a runner-up though. Nebula was fantastic in this movie. I would love to see so much more of Nebula. I hope that there's more than just Guardians 3 that she's going to be in, because her character is insanely interesting. Thor had also some very good parts in here, and his character was very interesting, and obviously Iron Man. So the original 3 plus Nebula did so well in that movie. I loved it. And then there was obviously some stuff with Hawkeye and Black Widow, quite a few other characters. War Machine was actually hilarious in that movie, and I really liked Paul Rudd as Ant-Man. This was my favorite Paul Rudd version. I don't really like the Ant-Man solo movies. They're still fun to watch, but they're kind of like in the mid-range, especially the second one. The second one's probably on the weaker end of things, whereas Ant-Man 1 would probably be in the middle. But I loved him in Civil War and in Avengers Endgame. He was hilarious. I loved him in that movie. Now we've got some comic books. Now I am getting a lot of comic books in single issues, mainly the House of X and Powers of 10, and also all the Absolute Carnage and tie-ins, which are a lot. So what I did is I just wanted to quickly show the favorite ones that I've been reading from those. I'm also starting to pick up the Immortal Hulk and Amazing Spider-Man, and I'll probably start adding more afterwards once House of X, Powers of 10, and Absolute Carnage are done, because it's pricey enough with all the Absolute Carnages that are coming out. But once those are done, I'll be able to start just focusing on a few single key issues here. Well, a single key series going forward. So my favorite for the month of August that I read, actually this is not August, but I read it in August, but I'm not going to count it. Because I think that's what started the whole thing. So my favorite would probably be, that this works out, House of X 2, which seems to be almost everybody's favorite from this series. I really liked House of X 1 as well, but that I think came out at the very end of July. And Powers of 10 3. This, like, basically, like, if you're really interested in the X-Men series, movies or comics, and you're not reading these, I strongly recommend reading these. These are amazing. They're done by Jonathan Hickman, and he's doing a fantastic job. I'm freaking out with how well each issue is in this series. It starts off with House of X 1, then goes to Powers of 10 1, and then I think House of X 2... There's a timeline, and you can basically just follow each issue. And they're so well. At the beginning, I was just interested. Then they started showing a little bit with this issue where they were going to be going with all of the entire series. And then in this issue, we find out even more about where they're going. Each issue, you're finding out more, and it's so deep. Characters are being used to the best way that they can be. The story is fantastic. The writing is excellent. The art, my goodness, the art is phenomenal on both the series. I think it's done by two different artists, and they're similar enough, so it works really well. I cannot stress how well these are at the moment. They are fantastic. And my favorite on the Absolute side would be Absolute Carnage 1. A lot of the tie-ins are actually boring for the month of August. I've started reading the September ones, and they're a lot better. The tie-ins are so much better. I cannot wait for Absolute Carnage 3. And now some of the other tie-ins that they're starting to push out. But yeah, Absolute Carnage. And you could probably just read the Absolute Carnage 1 to 5. As far from what I've read so far, you don't really have to read the tie-ins. But in the month of September, I will highlight the ones that I think are worth looking into. All right. No, we'll keep that there. Then I also got a few Epic collections, and then the rest is just Omnibus. So I got the Incredible Hulk, The Hulk Must Die, which is volume 2 of the Epic series. So this is 1964 to 1967, collecting Tales to Astonish number 60 to 96. So pretty much Hulk had his original run, and then a bunch of tie-ins with a bunch of like Fantastic Four, Avengers, and all that kind of stuff in the first volume. And then this is his own run on Tales to Astonish. So I think they're just like half issues each time, because he's sharing the Tales to Astonish with another character. I think it was Ant-Man / Giant Man, but I'm not 100% certain on that. I just know it's Tales to Astonish. So I can't wait to get into this. I have read the original 6-issue run of the Hulk and some of the tie-ins, just not everything yet. That a little bit. Then I got Ghost of the Past, because it was kind of on sale. These retail here in Canada for $38.99. And this was down to $27, so I decided to pick it up. This is Ghost of the Past, which is volume 19 from 92 to 93. For me, this is kind of what I grew up with for the Hulk. And I just love the art style. You can't really see it. Can I find something that looks kind of interesting and cool? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, that's I love that cover. Even the back, actually, that's my kind of Hulk right there. And I don't remember, and I think that they have, like, I think a lot of the Epic Collection is kind of out of order. Like, they kind of just they'll release like volume 2, and then they'll have volume 19, and then they'll go volume 10. I don't know if volume 10 is actually out, but they hop around everywhere. But they have a lot of continuing things from this. I think they have volume 17, 18, 19, and 20. They have 4. and 19 is in there, so you can kind of read them all. But at least 2 of the other ones are out of print already, which is unfortunate. Hopefully they bring those back. They are bringing back a lot of Epic Collections Volume 1s, and I hope that they continue doing that for some of the other ones, which they have been with Spider-Man, actually. So I think that as long as there's still interest in the comics or the specific characters, we're going to get more of these. I also got Thor Volume 3, Wrath of Odin. I think that this is maybe out of print or very low in stock, so that's why I decided to go with this one. I still need Volume 1, which is not solicited for a reprint yet, and Volume 2, but I think Volume 2 looks like it's more in stock than Volume 3, so I went with this one. For Canada anyway, from the sites that I go on. I also got a bunch of Omnibus. So you had all seen, I did an unboxing, I guess, of all of these that I got for really cheap. I ended up getting the Grant Morrison Volume 1 Batman for $47. There. I got Volume 2 for the same price, $47. So I cannot wait to get into these. I got not an Omnibus, but still a Rebirth Deluxe Edition hardcover, which is still the oversized format and in hardcover, just about half the size of an Omnibus. This is Batman Detective Comics. I think is this Volume 2? Yes, Volume 2, because I already have Volume 1. Do I? I must. That must be why I picked it. And Volume 1 of just Batman. I'll flip that. I also got... and I got these ones for... So the 2 Batman by Grant Morrison, they were about $47. The 2 DC Rebirth hardcovers were $22 or $23 each. So half off pretty much. And I also got Aquaman for $50. Which is the New 52 run. And last but not least, I ended up picking up Planet Hulk Omnibus, which I think is now very close to being out of print or is out of print. No, I think I was able to still see it, but the price that they have it, I think, is normally like it's about the retail price, whereas I was able to get this for $80. And because it's going out of print soon, or it looks like it's going to be going out of print soon, I decided to hop on it now. There's so many books that are going out of print, and it's so hard to try to keep up because there's only so much money that I can spend at the time. And reading them will not be an issue because I know that I can read these much later on. It's just I like having the books when I'm reading like a series to be like just have a bunch of them and just go from one to the other at any time that I want. So I don't mind buying a bunch and then reading them down the line. It's just, when you get to that point where you're reading a series and you get to it and you'll be like, oh, there's an omnibus for the next, part of this series that I'm reading, and it's out of print. And you're like, what do I do now? Wait? Start something else, but you're still in the mood for that? So, pay an inflated price. I might end up doing that in some situations if I'm really digging one of the series. So that's pretty much it for my pickups for August 2019. Let me know what you picked up in the last month, and you've all been bearded in. That's heavy for that little table I have there. Beardage.